So Dyslexia Awareness is a week. It's all around empowerment. It's all around catering actually for different learning preferences and different learning thinking styles. So as a dyslexic thinker, you might be more visual, you might have real kind of creative strengths. So let's focus on that. That's a good thing to focus on. Let's not worry too much about some of the disadvantages of dyslexic thinking, and that's what it's about. Growing up and going through education, I've kind of got mixed feelings about it, if I'm honest. Part of me absolutely loved it. I got to hang out with all my friends, really enjoyed sports, just building relationships and friendships for life, loved it. In terms of the academic and the conventional way of learning, I think it's something that did not come as a joy. When I think back at school, all I can think about is the negative learning experiences I actually had. And I think now I'm older and wiser, and I've learned how to learn myself and what works for me. I can look back and think, well, actually, that just didn't cater for my learning preference. So it was hard to keep engaged in the classroom, in my experience. There was definitely a focus much more on perhaps some of the things that you struggle with, and in my experience didn't really enable me to focus on the strengths and the things that I was good at. Wrapping up school, straight into the workforce for me at 16, and quite quickly I think it became evident that I had a natural ability to build relationships. I was in I started off in retail, customer service role, and I was good at it, smoothing with the customers and clients, building relationships, looking after them, that was a natural kind of go-to and ability for me, and something that I excelled at, I guess you could say. And then it wasn't until a bit later in life that I thought, oh, do you know what, I'm gonna just pick up a part-time A-level course, because I wanted to go back. And I think for me it was more about ticking that box, just go back, get the maths, get the English, and it felt good, to go back. But it was at that stage, at 25, where I was diagnosed with dyslexia, or dyslexic thinking, which came as a massive relief, because I was like, oh great, that's why I'm not so good at those kind of things. But that's maybe why I excel at good conversations or building relationships, and that's where I get my buzz and my energy from. So it made a lot more sense to me. So how do I like to learn? I think my colleagues and peers would say I love chatting things out, and I think that's for me definitely a learning preference. So chatting out a solution, an idea, a concept, illustrating that in some way and visualising that. What I do know is that it's not a case of not being able to understand complex information, it's just distilling that into something that's visually a bit more exciting. I think with HF, what is really, really exciting is that we truly do cater for all learning preferences. It doesn't matter what kind of thinker you are. On demand, in the moment content, combined with expert-led, face-to-face virtual experiences. it's all about inclusivity. It matters not, you know, your learning preference. We're catering for everybody, and that is inclusive, and that is exciting. It's an empowerment by our leaders and colleagues in the business to actually get involved in what I would call side hustles, such as internal communication, the engagement hub that we use internally, for instance. You know, I feel like I've really contributed to that. And I think part of that probably has been down to my dyslexic thinking, because visually, that's just how I think. That's my preference. So the videos, the animations that come through, the shout outs, you know, I could visualise that bringing remote teams together. So our Germany, our US and our UK office, I could see visually that we could do a shout out on that. That makes sense to me. Why aren't we doing that? Without knowing it, then all of a sudden you feel that you've got a purpose, you're contributing, you're empowered, I've got something to say. But it's also nice to feel included. I think is the right message here, is to be included to these discussions, to say, and it's not actually being because of my dyslexic thinking, because a lot of my colleagues and peers don't even know I'm a dyslexic thinker. I think Dyslexia Awareness Week, it's not really about what is dyslexia or being dyslexic. It's actually just thinking differently. And as a dyslexic thinker, you do think differently. And actually, within an organisation, you can actually utilise and draw in on that thinking to your benefit, to actually think at times maybe a bit more creatively, or think about innovation or problem solving. So it's just about dyslexic thinking, using those thinking skills as an advantage and a benefit, and bringing that to the party, bringing it to the table. It's around really kind of focusing on the strengths of dyslexic thinking and not so much the disadvantages, and that in itself is really empowering. So when you think of some of the key skills of dyslexic thinking, innovation, creativity, problem solving, let's focus on that and let's empower that kind of thinking, and that's really exciting because everybody's different.